Hey everyone, Coach Dovaclutch back at it again with some more Overwatch League analysis and content. This video is going to be a lot shorter than my last one where I did a long-term review of the LA Valiant and Dallas Fuel game. In this specific video, I'm only going to look at the attacking phases of the first point of Temple of Anubis from the New York Excelsior's point of view. Reason being is because they ran dive. This video is going to be the anatomy of an Overwatch League dive. For the first part of this video, I'm just going to try my best to let the initial dive play out while keeping commentating to a short amount. As you can see, Excelsior are running a standard dive. They're doing the Cyber Ninja kind of Somber Genji version of it. The other four are the usual suspects. The Uprising are running a double barrier comp that was fairly common throughout the first week of Overwatch League. Uprising ran it, the Fuel ran it, like in my last video, and the Parse Eternal ran it. On paper, the Uprising's comp does a good job of counteracting the Excelsior's dive. Baptiste, Lucio can provide some peeling, Arisa, May, and even Hanzo can do some good damage in the 1v1s. However, as you can see in this first fight, the Excelsior were able to cap first point of Anubis within 35-40 seconds. Even with, again, an on-paper worst or non-favorable matchup composition to the Boston Uprising. Very sportsmanlike for Mono right there. Alright, so they cap. I'm not going to cover the second point because the second point of Anubis for the Excelsior is just a giant snowball. They have ultimates online. They just kind of throw all the ults onto the Boston Uprising. The Uprising get one more retouch, and then they lose the recontest, and Excelsior cap it. Let's backtrack. How did this go down so quickly and so fast? Best thing we have to do is start from the actual setup phase. Give me 1 second. Alright. So go a little bit up here. In this beginning initial setup phase for the Boston Uprising, they are positioned pretty appropriately. Their main chunk of their team is over here. Lucio's just kind of hanging. He'll be back with the team. Hanzo's taking a kind of dangerous position because they could have had a Widow, but I think this is okay because it gives them enough time to provide some kind of scouting while being able to just safely get back over here. You can just, leap over here and then climb and he's back with the team, or you can take his off angle or what have you. So this is relatively safe for the Boston Uprising. The Excelsior, they're just doing their setup phase. Let's break down how they set up. We're going to watch this in slow motion. A lot of this video is going to be at like 0.25 speed. So this is okay for now. Hanzo peeks a little bit. He flirts with it. He realizes they're running a dive comp. Axiom throws a fire strike towards the choke because that's where Sombra theoretically would be. If they had a Sombra, they don't know there's a Sombra just yet. Hanzo goes back. Mono is doing a lot of poking over here. Just kind of standing, waiting for something to happen. Now, let's stop here. The Excelsior are finally sort of beginning their staging of the initial dive. Genji has gone through to the left side room. Mercy is going to join him. And we have Sombra ready with everyone else. Hanzo has just thrown the storm arrow, what do we call it? Brain fart. He has just shot his scouting arrow, so he knows that everyone's over here. And we're going to see how the Excelsior react to it. Genji goes over. Again, just a lot of poke, a whole lot of nothing. Mercy needs to get safely over. Genji's in the side room. Mono's just kind of poking. This right here is the first blunder that the Boston Uprising make. One of the key concepts of dive, and I actually really appreciate that we call it staging a dive versus executing the dive or any other verb. a huge part of why a dive works is because of the staging. And staging, like I said, is a very appropriate verb here because it is like you were in the theater or running a musical or some kind of stage production. You know, you take your actors and you put them in specific spots. You know, your lighting is over here or your blocking is over here. You need to come up to this line so we can see you into this spotlight and so on and so forth. The directors control where the actors go. That's really the same concept in an offensive dive. The actors, the offensive team, are acting as directors. They are staging. They are telling the defense where they want to go, except the defense doesn't really have a say in where they want to go. It's total control from the attacking team by using the abilities and utility that exist within a dive comp to actually tell the defense where they want them to be set up. It is controlling in some really strange, in a really unique way. You're controlling without actually telling them what you're doing. You're just forcing them to go to these spots. So it's truly staging something. Tangent aside, this is the first blunder, for now, that the Boston Uprising make. I think Axiom going over here is an okay play, right? Because maybe there's, you know, he's sort of establishing that he controls the space. A Genji going by himself is not going to do anything to a Reinhardt. That's okay. I understand that theoretically. However, I would have sent the Lucio over with him just to get him back out. Just to get him back out. You know, it's okay to show face. You know, throw a fire strike, say, yo, I see you, man. Like, you're not going to just come in here. Like, I'm letting you know I see you. And then Lucio pokes him right back out. However, he kind of just stays here for a little bit. And again, we're still moving at 2.5 speed, right? He's swinging. Maybe there's a Sombra there. He's showing face. Youngbong makes what I think is the second blunder of this, and he goes all the way back here. There's nothing wrong with hanging back here, especially since we know that the Excelsior are not running a Widow or Hanzo or anything like that, so he can't really get poked out from anyone on this team. A random pot shot from Ana or something like that. And staying up here as Baptiste also means that if the XL really wanted to get him, they would have to truly hard engage onto him. And hard engaging, in a dive, you don't simply hard engage the backline by overtaking the middle of the battlefield. Might work in Plat or Diamond or something like that. Doesn't work at this level because the team is going to be peeling for their isolated target pretty quickly. That being said, I don't like this because he has no help. There's no mercy here. It will require Swimmer to just really do some standard wall riding, but he'd have to wall ride over to get to him. Or Baptiste would have to come onto his team. What's dangerous about Baptiste coming back onto his team is that he has to safely get from this high ground back to this team without using his immortality field. Because again, he has no outright peeling. There's no diva here either. I think the reposition call would, again, either put Lucio up here with him, which I don't really like. I probably would have put the Hanzo up here with him, just to provide some kind of safety, while still being able to placing Hanzo here. Actually, going to delete this. Placing Hanzo here would have allowed Baptiste to safely poke and feel just a little more secure in having some backup, and Hanzo would still be in pretty much his effective range. He now has sightlines over all of this. He can call to see if there's someone over here and help out by sort of going to this back way. If the fight takes place on the main bridge, he can shoot back down. While maintaining high ground, he can take this bridge over here. He can go back to this overhead pass kind of thing. He still has control over where he can go and maneuver safely. I think that would have been the play there. Boston's second blunder. Let's see where else this goes. Alright. Again, I don't want to keep counting blunders, but this is another one. Ryan's not back yet. So now the actual engagement is about to take place. Hotba and Mono have decided to hard commit onto the team because they see Reinhardt's not here. Baptiste can take some pot shots, but he can't really do much. He can maybe throw a field down. But again, if he throws a field down, that leaves him in a really bad position because Genji can get him, even though he doesn't know where he is. And Sombra can get him. So again, This mistake is going to sort of come back to haunt them of putting Baptiste up here. The Excelsior decide to hard commit. Rhine is not anywhere into the fray. Jonak has a prime position, a safe position, of being able to heal his team while still being able to take pot shots. Mercy is relatively safe. She can fly it. She has an out here. A lot of arrows. She has an out here in case she needs it. She can help Anna if she gets into trouble. She has an out here, so she's pretty safe. This is very intelligent positioning from the Excelsior, at least for this hard committal dive. May puts up the ice wall. NYXL tanks drop. Sombra is on the right side of the field. Ryan is on his way back. Genji is just taking pot shots. But we have our first trigger, is the word I like using. We have our first trigger. When you're running a dive comp, sorry, I just want to get a better angle of this. When you're running a dive comp, it's not just simply jump onto the isolated target. It can be that simple, but it's not always that simple. You're looking for a trigger. What important ability? What important ultimate? What thing that would normally stop your dive comp has been used and not used well? This is not a good ice wall. It's a mistake from Munchkin. All the tanks had to do was drop. They are still in relatively good health. Mercy is nearby. There are health packs over here. This is not a good wall. This is also the XL's trigger, because now they know Mei doesn't have wall for the next few seconds, so they have a choice to again hard engage onto her, because their cooldowns are much shorter than anyone else's here. And now they know that they have no wall to deny them from jumping up to get Baptiste, because Sombra is telling the team, I would assume he is, I would assume Nene's talking, that Baptiste is alone, and there's no one to stop them from doing anything. See where it goes. Again, they're safe here. Ryan is finally back into the fight, but it might be a little too late, as you can see. Oh, there's our hard committal. It was too late. Baptiste was too late to rotate down. He had two choices after the wall went down. He could have either realized that he was definitely alone, and he looks like he called for backup. So they're meeting on this bridge so he can have some kind of peel, because he realized he was the target. Let's see how it plays out. Baptiste is low. Believe he throws out field. Color Hex is isolated and by himself. And he's dead. This is a mistake from the Uprising. When all three Uprising members head over here, Hanzo and Baptiste, they had a choice. And this was a misplay from really all three of Swimmer, Myungbong, and Color Hex. The play was either to drop Immortality Field here and rotate over to the chunk of the team. The play was for Lucio to speed them back to the team and throw the Immortality Field over everybody. Or the third play was just to drop. Drop completely, speed us down, or just speed us so we could drop. Everyone drop, the entire Uprising team, when we throw the Immortality Field here. This is riskier though, because now you have that back piece, the back angle. Misplay from all three. They should have dropped to where this Immortality Field would have been, or put it up here. So Color Hex is kind of left in transition. He went to help. Myungbong wasted his field. Lucio's just kind of standing there. He didn't do anything to help either one of them. Hex ended up by himself. It's 3-on-1. It was 3-on-3. If it were 3-on-3, I think Uprising have enough to just maintain and force an XL exit. But because it ended up being 3-on-2, which eventually became 3-on-1, XL gets the kill. Uprising restabilize. Smart play. They restabilize. Diva's safe. Just honest poking. The second trigger, so to speak, Immortality Field is done. We know it was going down, but it's officially down. That's another trigger. We know Maywall is back up. We know that the Uprising have very little ult economy of none, because they've just been kind of standing around doing nothing. Maybe this is another trigger for a commitment. Let's see what happens. Trigger for commitment. TFC. The Uprising are being attacked from all angles, quite literally. There are 3 on the high ground. The only way they can go back is literally backtracking the Uprising. They can literally only go back this way. They are being pinned down and pincered from all angles. So what the XL did was start here. Just wrap around them. Just wrap around them. They took some space here. They knew that they wanted this space regardless. Uprising didn't contest this high ground good enough. They didn't help each other out well enough. They could have made this a stalemate, which I think would have either forced a switch or would have forced them to to exit out the fight and rethink their strategy. And they stood over here in this clump. Down 1. I don't like this clump against a dive composition because it's open from this direction, this direction. Make it a different color. It's open from this direction, and this direction, which the XL are doing incredible jobs of shooting from. Again, Jonak, free shots. Diva was just poking for free. Sommer's doing her little scouty business, and these 3 sort of own this high ground. So I don't like this. The only way out is this way. So in one hard engagement, the XL have found a way to not only take the high ground, they also have point presence now. Uprising only have a few choices, and it's either full retreat, a full commitment onto point, or a full commitment onto their choke. They can't go anywhere else. Let's see what they do. They go for the hard commitment. Baptiste ends up all the way back here by himself. We definitely know he doesn't have field up because it's like a 25-second cooldown now, so he's dead. He gets deleted. Thanks for coming. Hack on the Rhine. May goes to help. It's 3-on-2 with a Lucio who's half health and a Rhine who's by himself. Rhine's dead. May and Lucio are next. Mercy's providing the pocket heals. It's interesting because they make sure that May dies, which is really intelligent. Orisa got isolated. Lucio dies, and then finally May goes down. She's the last one to go. It's interesting, as much as May counters dive, in some strange way she doesn't. The way that she doesn't counter dive is if you save her for last, which is smart, right? You just don't fight her. Forehead. So again, color hex with the error, or rather that whole peel clump with the error. Immortality Field down, and Immortality Field is such a huge commitment now that if it goes down, you better be ready to do something. Swimmer and Swimmer and Myungbong, there's some kind of miscommunication. They miss each other right there. Again, the XL3 stack go back there. I think, I didn't mention this, but I think this is fascinating how Hotba and Nene, they just zone out the Orisa. They just mess with her. She can't do anything by herself. Orisa's strong with a team. She's strong when she has support. When it used to be when she had another barrier, but when she's got a buddy, she's like the utility tank, like truly, you know what I mean, like the utility main tank. She can help do everything. But But you got Sombra pestering her, you got Hot Blood messing around with her, and they just zone her out while the rest of the XL clean up. Just watch the Orisa fight Hot Blood and Nene. They're just messing with them. It just looks, yeah, it's just messing with her. This is great. And again, the rest of the fight is kosher at this point. Now, what should we get out of this? Gonna keep this one short. There are a few things we look for when running a dive comp. One, we are looking for maximizing, excuse my handwriting, maximizing utility. Dive comps do not do that much damage. That is the point. They don't. Maybe in a burst, but even then, the way the game is it's not like it used to be. So we gotta maximize utility. Its strength is in its utility. There's a lot of utility in the 6 heroes you can run in a dive comp. Maximizing utility. And that means jumping on high ground. That means eating important abilities. That means attacking on anti-grenades. That means hacking. Or widow sniping. Or Tracer being pesky. That's utility. All of that. Damage boost. You're maximizing the utility in a comp. So one of the first things we look for. One of the second things we look for is ISOs. I think if you ask like 10 different coaches, they'll probably give you 10 different answers to what they think dive is, and they're all probably correct. At least for me, one of the main strengths I see in just running a dive comp is that it allows, getting the eraser here, it allows your DPS to get into advantageous positions, and it allows your DPS to get assassination kills. Because they really do the bulk of the damage. Monkey and D.Va never really did that much damage in pretty much any iteration of balance they existed in. But they always enabled a Tracer, a Genji, a Widow, whatever, to really get into a fight and to really get those 1v1s. To that effect, the third part of a dive that we're looking for, especially at this level, it sounds a little silly, but it's true, it's trust. You're not going to get this in your comp game so much, but you're definitely going to get it at this level for the good teams. And I'm specifically thinking of this third part when we were looking at the Orisa just get mosquitoed by Hotba and Sombra. They trusted the rest of their team enough to secure the kills on Mei, Lucio, and whomever that they knew that they could just mess with this Orisa and really like play with their food. They were allowed to play with their food because they knew that all they had to do was neutralize her in the middle of the team fight for long enough that the rest of their team could secure kills. Right, the ISOs. They knew that the Genji would get the kill. They knew their Ana could defend themselves. And they also knew that if their Ana got into trouble, I know it's Jonak, but they knew if he got into trouble, he'd also get supported by Anamo. They knew that D.Va would peel. Trust, isolation, maximizing utility. These are three of the things you were looking for in running a dive. Alright everyone, thanks for watching.